Good evening, everyone. We begin with that slow and shaky start to a special session in Salem where Oregon lawmakers barely made quorum on this Friday of a holiday weekend. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Volko. That is despite the governor making clear getting transportation funding passed, something they failed to do earlier this summer, is a huge priority. Alma McCarty has the update.
The Senate convened at 9 a.m. and quickly adjourned until 2 p.m. on Monday. However, without a quorum, the House was unable to come to order until after 8 p.m. Friday night.
Please be seated.
Lawmakers back in Salem once again.
A quorum is present.
Gavelled in to take another shot at passing a transportation funding package during this special session.
House Bill 3992 relating to state financial administration, declaring emergency. House Bill 3991 relating to transportation, prescribing effective date, providing for revenue raising that requires approval by 3/5 majority.
But in the House, at least, it took many hours for enough Democrats to get to the Capitol to have a quorum, with no official explanation as to why as of Friday night. Representative David Gomberg expressing thanks to administrators.
The body's gratitude to our clerks team who have been here all day long.
Others, like transportation workers and the union that represents them, viewed these delays with disappointment.
Well, we had workers show up this morning at 7 a.m. expecting to see the Senate go into session at 9 a.m. and expecting to see the House go in at 11 a.m. It was 11 a.m., then it was 1 p.m., then it was 3 p.m., then it was 3:30 p.m., and it's just been watching people not show up to do their jobs.
Supporters of the transportation bill want to see it passed as soon as possible to avert layoffs and large-scale service cuts to ODOT and local transportation and public transit agencies.
I mean, you're talking about a really devastated agency, so the impacts to Oregon statewide would be unreal, really unreal.
Opponents don't want to see new fees or taxes for Oregonians.
It never should have come to this. There are ways to solve this problem that don't actually involve new taxes. And I've suggested that, and I have it in my testimony here, very simple things that they can start doing today. But if they don't even meet, if they don't show up and there's no quorum, well, then you can't have a conversation.
Lawmakers intend to hear more public testimony when the House reconvenes. Again, the House will reconvene on Sunday at 4 p.m. In Salem, Alma McCarty, KGW News.
To be continued. All right, let's take you outside now with a live look over downtown Portland at the start of this holiday weekend. Matt Safino's here. Matt, sounds like weather-wise in most spots, it's going to be a great one.
Yeah, David, we're in pretty good shape. Certainly west of the Cascades for really great Labor Day weekend weather. We'll start you out down in Salem, the state capital. Nice look, a very comfortable 63 degrees. And I say that because, remember, just a few days ago, we weren't even getting that cool throughout the entire night. Now we're dropping well below 65. And around the area, temperatures still around 64, 66, still hanging on to 70 down in Sherwood, interestingly enough. There's the 63 in Salem, and Corvallis is already down to 58. And the reason that we're running 4, 5, 6, 7 degrees cooler than the same time last night is because of that wind, which is now coming in out of the west, southwest at McMinnville at 7, south at Eugene. So we're getting an influx of that cooler air from the coast coming into the valleys, reinforcing the influx that came in last night. So again, that's going to keep us in good shape for tomorrow. So there's the coast right now, 55 degrees and cloudy. It's the only part of the state that might see showers this weekend. More on that later, David.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it. In an update tonight, the St. Helens School District has finally released an independent investigator's report on what the district did wrong while addressing teachers' alleged sexual conduct. Catherine Cook's in the newsroom with the findings. Catherine.
David, the report finds the district had not one, not two, but 8 opportunities to intervene after one teacher was accused of misconduct. The first chance came when the district hired choir teacher Eric Stearns. The report found no evidence that the district ever asked Stearns why he'd been placed on paid administrative leave while at his former district. In 2019, Stearns was accused of touching cheerleaders on their backside during practice. The report found that the case was never properly investigated. He was also accused of putting his hand inside a student's mouth, and again, the report found no substantive investigation. And when Stearns was accused of talking to students about their personal sexual relationships, the report says it took 11 months before any corrective measures were put into place, and Stearns was never reported to authorities. Then last year, someone sent a tip to Safe Oregon. That's a statewide tip line allowing anyone to report school safety concerns anonymously. The investigator found that then St. Helens principal Katie Wagner disregarded that tip. The report also found Wagner failed to follow mandatory reporting requirements when it came to allegations against math teacher Mark Collins. Now, the report made 18 specific recommendations for the district. They include requiring administrators to report all staff suspected of engaging in potential child sex abuse through thorough reference checks for all district job finalists, and moving to in-person staff training on sexual conduct rather than online training. Now, the trial of choir teacher Eric Stearns is scheduled to begin in September of 2026. He faces 29 sexual abuse charges and has pleaded not guilty to all of them. David.
Incredible amount of detail there. Catherine Cook breaking it down for us. Thanks, Catherine. Well, we are also learning more tonight about the Oregon firefighter arrested by Border Patrol agents while fighting Washington's largest wildfire. His attorneys tell us the man was living in Kaiser and came to the U.S. with his family when he was 4 years old. He was arrested along with a fellow crew member while they were fighting the Bear Gulch fire on the Olympic Peninsula. Others on the crew say Border Patrol agents checked all of their IDs. The Border Patrol says the two arrested were in the country illegally, and one had a previous removal order. Attorneys for the Oregon man say their client had applied for what is known as a U visa 7 years ago, but that application was still pending. He's been a wildland firefighter for the past 3 years.
These men are actually risking their lives to protect all of us. So by arresting people who are doing that work, it's just another way we're seeing the federal government attacking the values that make America strong.
The Oregon man is now being held in the ICE detention center in Tacoma. His lawyers are challenging the arrest and hoping to get him released. To get you caught up on tonight's other headlines now, the Evergreen School District presented what it called a final contract offer to striking workers today, but the union says it is a no-go. The strike started Tuesday, and both sides have been in mediation all week long. The district asked the union to take an official vote on the latest offer today, but the union, which represents bus drivers, paraeducators, and other classified staff, says it could not coordinate that quickly. The union agreed to keep talking into the weekend, but only if the district skipped extra pay for administrators for negotiating outside work hours. The district said it couldn't guarantee that. So as of right now, the first day of school is still set for next Tuesday, though that could be in jeopardy without a deal. Meanwhile, Oregon's biggest school district says families should plan for a regular school day on Tuesday. That's after Portland Public released students 2 hours early this afternoon over concerns classrooms could get too hot. PBS says both students and staff have experienced heat-related illness this week. Less than a quarter of the schools in the district have air conditioning. Over the weekend, crews will be putting in extra fans and cooling units, as well as adjusting ventilation in older buildings. And Portland police are rejoining TriMet Transit Police with 5 officers and a sergeant. TriMet will also bring in 4 more officers from other agencies. This comes 4 years after the city ended its agreement with TriMet during a period when many cities were rethinking policing. The transit division will now have 31 law enforcement officers at full staff. That's about half of what it had at its peak. Okay, let's talk vaccines now, because the FDA just changed its recommendations around the COVID shot. The updated COVID shots are now approved for people 65 and older and kids and adults with at least one pre-existing condition that puts them at risk of severe illness. In a social media post, Health and Human Services Secretary RFK Jr. saying the vaccines are available for patients who choose them after consulting with their doctors. A local pharmacist explains how he believes getting a vaccine will work at the pharmacy going forward.
Basically, we will have to ask them, are you at risk of complications from COVID? So if you are, then we will probably need some documentations in order to get you vaccinated. Most likely, insurance will probably require that as well.
Which raises questions over who insurers may or may not cover under the new guidance. Meanwhile, Washington's health department said a statement saying, quote, it's carefully reviewing the implications of this FDA development. Well, now to a major ruling on President Trump's tariffs. With a federal appeals court ruling, the president misused his authority when he imposed tariffs under an emergency powers statute. Oregon Attorney General Dan Rayfield leading a coalition of 12 states to challenge the tariffs. The ruling applies to 2 sets of tariffs, so-called reciprocal tariffs imposed on several countries, and then the tariffs on just Canada, China, and Mexico for what the administration said was a failure of those countries to curb fentanyl flows. For now, though, The tariffs will remain in place as this case winds its way through the courts.